what ignites me is my passion for nature and natural heritage. So I'm going to give you the story of Hawkcliffe Farm, Hawkcliffe Woods, and the big bold idea being that we are attempting to buy the property of Cheryl Barenbrecht in the room back there. This is what we do. The Land Trust is a non-profit organization. It works to protect the natural heritage either through outright purchase of land or through donations. We currently have 15 properties, over 1,200 acres, and our big bold idea is to secure this property here. Some of you may recognize it, but we're probably not from this angle. This is Hawkcliffe Woods. It's 3 kilometers to the east of Port Stanley on the shoreline of Lake Erie, and it contains some of the best remnant deep forest in our region. So the red outline there is the forest. Port Stanley is shown on the left, and the red star there is the spot that all the birds go to in the fall to view the hawk migration. It's a very popular spot. This is what it looks like coming down the road in the spring to the Hawkcliffe viewing place. An absolutely beautiful, pristine forest. We're blessed in Central Elgin, in this case, to have some remnant forest. Some of the counties around here have nothing left at all. From the lake, this is one of Ron Keith's pictures from the lake. Hawkcliffe Road in the middle, drops off into the lake. I suggest you don't drive that far. You've got 20, 30 feet of sand over deep clays, a 100-foot cliff face. Wonderful scenic site, highly erodible. And here you're looking at another spot, looking in this case towards Port Stanley with the concrete silos and the pier. This is what the property looks like from the front, but most of the property is actually deep forest. It's not these open meadow areas. In the fall, thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of birds migrate through Hawkcliffe, including osprey on the left, rough-legged hawk on the top right, and red-tailed hawk on the bottom. But 19 species in all migrate through Hawkcliffe. It's a terrifically rich spot for birding. Equally important, from my perspective, I was a bug guy when I had a job. Monarch butterflies migrate along the Lake Erie shoreline, and they roost at Hawkcliffe. There are about 12 roosting spots, and they roost there, and before they keep continuing going south down to Mexico. This is what the property looks like. The various features are shown. Most of the property is wooded. There are areas which are abandoned farmland, and this is what the bush looks like. This last year, we were on the property doing some surveys, and we found this lovely spotted salamander. Cheryl, you like that? We were very pleased to see it. It's an indicator of good, healthy forest. And this tree stump is growing some very nice fungi. The important thing about Hawkcliffe Woods is that it has deep interior forest, or just deep woods. The yellow there represents the deep woods component, anything that's 200 meters from an edge. And that represents rare habitat for breeding birds. So when we restore this property, it'll have that large, deep interior forest. This is just what the forest looks like on the inside down a small gully. And breeding in this forest are large numbers of rare birds. Come on. Sorry about that. There it is. These are species at risk. These are recognized by the provincial and the federal government as species at risk. Wood thrush, Acadian flycatcher, bank swallow, and some trees like American chestnut. This is the wood thrush. It's an indicator species of deep forest, very attractive call. The Acadian flycatcher doesn't look like much, but was voted the second most threatened animal in Ontario in December 2013. This animal had, in 2014, had 2 breeding pairs in Hawkcliffe Woods and 2 single males, which is actually very good. That's one of the hot spots. This is the bank swallow, burrowing into the sand at the top of the cliffs, helping erode them, by the way, but that's nature. The bank swallows are also threatened. Their numbers are declining. This is one of the major populations along the shoreline. Cheryl and I were looking for this chestnut tree, which she had seen years ago. And she eventually found it, and I think she lost her cool. But that's Cheryl hugging the American chestnut tree. So we have a lot of rare trees on the property, and we have a campaign now, our big bold idea is to raise $1.6 million to acquire the property, manage the property forever, and also replenish some of our supplies, our money for management, our money to buy new properties. We currently have $1.4 million raised. These people here are a major funder. They gave us $250,000 right at the start for the campaign. They recognized Hawkcliffe is so important. So our big bold idea is to acquire this property, restore it, nurture it, steward it forever. Thank you.
again, I think anybody that's local knows exactly where Hawkscliff is for different reasons, but that's okay. We're not going to get into that. But a wonderful site. I know exactly what they're talking about. So, I got a couple questions. Any questions?
After you acquire it and restore it, is it open to the public? Are you going to put trails in, those types of things?
That's a very interesting question because the property is being acquired to protect rare habitat of a variety of breeding birds. And so putting public trails through the sensitive parts of the property is probably not a very wise thing to do. We've got a large chunk of money from the federal government through what's called the Habitat Stewardship Program, which is specifically to protect habitat for endangered species. Yes, there will be trail systems, but they'll be minimal, probably on the periphery, and they'll be open at certain times when the birds aren't breeding. We have to manage this property properly. It's going to be a challenge. A lot of people have got some sort of, almost like an entitlement mentality of the place. They do trespass on the property. We'd rather they didn't, and we'll try and keep it under control. Thanks.
No question?
Do you have any concerns about the erosion on the shoreline that you mentioned? Or is there anything that you can do about it, or you have any plans to do?
We have huge concerns about the shoreline erosion. The erosion at Hawk Cliff is about the highest along the whole shoreline, north shoreline of Lake Erie, 4 meters a year on average. So the regulated zone is 400 meters, which is the 100-year erosion limit, plus the top of slopes are another 100 feet plus. It's halfway back. In 200 years, the property will be a third the size it is today. There's one redeeming feature, and that is the water intake. The Middlesex and Elgin water intake is on a berm, on a groin going out into the ocean. That's the lake. That's actually protecting the coast there. If you look at Port Stanley, you've got a beach, 2-meter long beach there, which formed only when they put the pier in. That's because of the literal current depositing sand up against that groin. The same thing's happening at the water intake. So there will be a reduced erosion at that point, but not along the rest of the shore, there will be increased erosion.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Give